Hello, and welcome to Hawthorne's Homestead. I want to start with thank you so much to everybody who liked, commented, did any interaction, especially the subscribers for my first video. I was terrified to post that because I've never done a video. I haven't done a lot with video, and I also haven't done a lot with myself as the main subject. I tend to do photos of other things, and just the fact that it was well received, and if anybody had anything negative to say, they kept it to themselves, which I'm very grateful for. So thank you so much for everybody who participated in any way. Thank you so much. So I'm going to start off today with just a little project that I did. I don't know if project is really the right word. It's just a little baking thing that I threw together, and I used some of my canned apple pie filling, and had a dinner party to go to, and like I said, just threw it together and it was perfect. And then I have a canning adventure to share. I also have some other just little things to share here and there. So if you're interested, stick around and I will see you in my kitchen.
This glorious mess you see before you is me making a bread pudding for a dinner party tonight. I already have my bread cut up into bite-sized pieces. This is a sourdough bread, which actually does make good bread pudding. I didn't think it would at first because of the sour part, but once you soak it in sugar, anything tastes good, right? So I'm not following a specific recipe. I'm just kind of using what I have on hand and going from there. So the first thing, of course, is cutting up your bread. And then, of course, you have to make your custard that's going to go over everything. So what I'm starting with is melted butter, about 3 tablespoons of melted butter. And I am actually allergic to milk, so I use coconut cream, which is sometimes kind of solid, depending on how cold it is, and it was a little bit on the solid side, so I put it in with the butter and melted it. So we're going to start with that. And then now that I've freed up this bowl, I'm going to use it to crack each egg into to test the egg. This is a good habit to get into if you're going to have farm fresh eggs. Apparently it is less prevalent to have a rotten egg, and I should be just doing this one at a time and putting it in here, just in case I get a rotten one. Like I said, it's more prevalent if you're using farm fresh rather than store-bought. So what this is going to do is get the rest of that butter and coconut milk out of there as well. I'm going to pour that in. A whisk would not go amiss, but I don't have one. Okay, and then we're going to want... I'm going to wash my hands because I feel egg on them. I have sensory issues. What was I saying? Yes. Next, we're going to add a half a cup of sugar. To our mixture. And then this is where I start to get a little loosey-goosey with my ingredients and just kind of follow my heart. In the description, I will try to put the approximations of what I used for the recipe, but I can't guarantee it's going to be exactly the same because I really am just kind of going, sure. That looks like enough. So we're adding vanilla. I'm adding some maple syrup. A little more. And a few dashes of cinnamon. I am not putting in a large amount of cinnamon because I'm going to use some of my canned apple pie filling as a topper for this, and it already has cinnamon and all kinds of things in it. So I don't want it, I want it to complement, not overpower. Stir that up. We have a delightful custard here. And I'm going to put in about a cup of chopped pecans. Okay, so our next step is to pour the custard and the pecans over the bread. Might get a spatula and get the rest of that out of there. And then I'm going to stir it around, partially to stir around the pecans and also to make sure all the bread is in the custard so it can soak it up. So now I'm going to put the apple pie filling on. I'm just using a paint can opener. This is only my second time ever opening a can of home canned anything, so I'm just kind of using what I have and hoping for the best. So first I'm going to test the seal because I am paranoid. I'm even going to pull at it a little bit. All right, seal is good. Oh yeah, and you hear that sound, you know it's good. And now we're just going to ladle. I might end up using 2 of these. Need some of that syrup in there. Oh, I think 1 will be enough. Okay, we're gonna go ahead and stick it into the oven, which I have preheated to 350. Okay, so it's been about a half an hour, and I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out and take a look at it. It smells incredible. It is bubbly. So there is my bread pudding with apple pie filling. I am going to very carefully wrap this up and get it over to my friend's house, and we're gonna have a fabulous dinner party. Welcome back to my kitchen. Today I will be doing canning a recipe from the all-new Ball Book of Canning and Preserving. Bring that a little closer just so you can see it. Okay, and if I can get to the page, we'll be making the pear maple bourbon butter. And it calls for half a cup of maple syrup, half a cup of bourbon, and 4 pounds of pears, peeled, cored, and coarsely chopped. So I have my kitchen scale here, as well as the bowl that I'm going to be putting the pears into. So I'm going to turn on my scale, set down the bowl, and then tare. And tare again. There we go. Yeah, and it tells me pounds and ounces, so I am ready to go. I am so excited about this. This is my first adventure canning by myself, only my second adventure canning at all, so remember that if you see me make a mistake, feel free to comment and tell me I've made some kind of mistake. Or If you are wanting to learn to can, I hope this is inspirational for you. Because I was so nervous to get started. I was really lucky I had a friend whose family canned like her whole life. So she was very used to canning. And she helped me out tremendously. A little bit of an update on my progress. My kitchen scale was not working, and I discovered this because I had 2 bags of pears that were 3 pounds each. And obviously when you cut out the core and you cut off the skin, you're going to have less. But my scale was reading that I had just over 2 pounds. So I weighed the peels and the cores and I had just over 1 pound. So obviously something, either the bags were mislabeled or something was wrong with the scale. So I went to the store and I bought a new kitchen scale as well as more pears because I didn't want to get home and it not be the scale and then have to go back out and get more pears. So now I have more pears than I really know what to do with. That's going to be fun. I will figure something out. But I now have 4 pounds of pears in the Dutch oven, and I'm going to add the 1/2 cup of maple syrup and the 1/2 cup of bourbon. And then my next is to bring the ingredients to a boil and then simmer uncovered for 35 minutes. So that's what we're going to do. As you can see, it has started to boil, so I'm going to turn it down to a low heat and give it a good stir. Okay, so now that this has softened the pears, I'm going to run them through the blender, and then after running through the blender, I'm going to put it in this bowl. And then once I go through all of it, I'm going to put it back to cook it a little while longer. So that is the plan. Okay, so now that I have pureed everything, I'm turning the heat back up. And I'm going to bring this to a boil, and then I'm going to simmer it. Oh, there's a little pear left. And then I'm going to simmer it and stir it regularly, stirring it more often as it heats up until it starts to darken and reduce and become a butter instead of a puree. I'm really having to babysit this at this point. It is bubbling, but because it's a puree and not really a liquid, the bubbles are kind of intense and they are spraying the puree all over. So I'm having to stir every few seconds. And I have my lid to my Dutch oven over the burner that I'm going to have the canner on so that it doesn't get anything on there. And then when I turn it super high to boil the water in the water bath canner, it doesn't set off the fire alarm, which is what happened last time I canned something. So I'm going to try to avoid that this time. How long is this going to take? I hope you can hear me over the sound of the fan, and I hope it's not too annoying. But I did have something on the burner, I guess, and it's smoking a little bit. So I'm making sure my fire alarm doesn't go off. I have the butter, I believe, is ready to go. So I am just heating up the canner, and I'm going to heat up my jars so that when I put the hot liquid into the hot jar, it's better than putting it into the cold jar where it might shock the jars and they might break. So heating those up, heating the canner up so that I can then put the hot jars into the hot canner. Again, no thermal shock. Bring the canner up to a boil and process for 10 minutes.
So here I am ladling into the jars. I do wish that I had cooked this down a little bit longer because, you know, hindsight's 2020. Now that I'm looking at it, I'm just like, you know, that's not like apple butter that you get at the store, you know, that maybe I should have cooked it a little bit longer. I haven't tasted it yet, so hopefully it'll still taste okay, even if it's a little bit thin. And next time I can do a little better. Now that I've ladled, I'm going to debubble to make sure there are no air bubbles in my jar and make sure that my headspace, see what I'm doing there? I would not recommend that, because you have to clean the rim of the jar. And that was the only jar I did that on because as I did it, I was like, oh, this is a bad plan. And that, yeah, it just gets it on the jar and makes it harder to clean later. So, I would not recommend that. But here I am making sure that my headspace is correct. Okay, so here I'm dipping into a little bit of vinegar and just getting my washcloth wet, and then I'm going around the rim to make sure that there's no anything on the rim, anything sticky or anything that might affect the seal of the jar. And I'm going to do that to each jar. I also don't highly recommend picking up your jars at this point because they're usually pretty warm. That jar happened to be cool enough. I was okay. But in the future, I'm going to have to be more mindful of that to make sure that I don't burn myself. Now, as you can see, I'm putting on the lids, just making sure that they're fit on correctly. And then next I'm going to put on the rings and make sure that they are just fingertip tight. You don't want to crank your wrist or anything. So I ended up with 4 jars, obviously, and here I am ladling them into the canner, getting ready to boil the water and process them for 10 minutes, I believe. Now that I'm doing a voiceover, I don't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure it was 10 minutes. So here we are after the 10 minutes. I'm turning off the heat and I'm moving the canner off of the burner because I have an electric burner and not gas. So obviously it would continue to heat and I don't want that. This video goes on a little longer than I'd care to admit, where I seriously struggled to get the lid off the canner. It's about halfway twisted off and it is not budging at this point.
So I have texted the friend who helped me can the first time, and she has texted her mother, but I can't get this canner open. It's really upsetting me, and I've hurt my hands trying. So yeah, we're just gonna wait and see now. Well, friends, that was an adventure. As you can see, I was able to get the lid off. I don't know exactly what I did, other than when I was trying to twist it off, I ended up accidentally twisting it kind of back on and it moved. And then it was like, oh, okay, and came off. So I just hope that doesn't happen again. Anyway, I have my beautiful jars
here. And I'm going to go take a nap now, I think. Yeah, maybe. Might nap, might clean the kitchen. I don't know what I'm going to do, but it's going to be relaxing because that was stressful. Hello, and welcome to Knittermission, the intermission where I talk about knitting and other fiber-related projects. First, I would like to address the sweater in the room. This is flax worsted by Tin Can Knits, if I can read my own writing. And this is the first sweater I ever knit top down. The flax actually does not have these ridges on it across the front like I have done. It has some ridges that go down the sleeves from purling, but I actually knit a baby sweater for a cousin of mine, and they're very outdoorsy people, and so I saw this dark forest green and I was like, oh yeah, sure. And will you quit meowing in the middle of my videos? I love you. Any hooser. And it was also a top down. I don't remember what sweater pattern it was off the top of my head. But it had this kind of a look to it, but it was a cardigan. And I finished knitting that and I just looked at it and said, I need that. I need that in my life. We're about to be visited by a cat. Hi, baby. Hello. Hello, hello, hello. Yes, you sweet girl. I'm going to get back to the video, okay? Not okay? Okay? You're not sure? Okay. So what I want to do today is talk about all of my WIPs. For anybody who doesn't know, WIP stands for work in progress. And I just want to address the sheer volume of, and I mean, some people have so many more WIPs, I'm sure, but for me, this is kind of a lot. And so I'm kind of talking about them, bringing them to the forefront of my mind so I can be like, you know, I really need to work on some of these things, get them out of the way. Hi, Kitty. So the first one I want to talk about is the oldest WIP, and that is the Recombination Mitten by YYC Knits. And I have that here in this yarn bowl. I actually made this yarn bowl kind of at a local you know, kind of pottery, like you go in and you paint it and then they glaze it and fire it for you kind of thing. So I didn't, you know, wheel or do any pottery to actually make the bowl. I just did the painting. Try to hide my face so maybe you can see it better. If this doesn't work, I will pop pictures of it up for you. But inside here, I have a pair of mittens that I am half a mitten away from being done with. And they are a beautiful cable design. And they're made out of alpaca. Hang on, I have the label here. If I can read upside down, maybe. Aslan Trends Natural Luxury Yarns, Royal Alpaca, in the color Spice. And these are so soft and luxurious and I love them. But I haven't worked on them in a really long time. And part of that is because I am in the middle of another mitten, and it's really not an overly complicated cable, but it's complicated enough that it's going to take me some brain power to figure out where I was, and where to go from there and all of that. So, it's mostly laziness that has kept me from this project. Also, a little bit of, don't know if I'll put this on, hang on, put it on backwards on the right hand. Technically the left hand, but you know what I mean, the correct hand. I have some trouble here with my stitch pickups, creating little holes. The thumb is very thick, if you can see that. So they're just not perfect, and I just haven't been in love with making them for a while. But I really need to finish them because they've been in this bowl on my desk for over a year. I started these, I think, right after I moved into the apartment, and that was that 22? What year is it? It's 25. So no, that was 23. Anyway, so that's the first one. The second one that I haven't worked on in a while is My First Holiday Sweater by Ashley Kisser? K-I-S. Yeah, I'll just write it down. Anyway, so this one is a bottom up in the round, and as you can tell, I'm getting really close to where I'm going to split I'm going to work on connecting sleeves and doing the yoke, which I will pop a picture of what it's supposed to look like when it's done, so you can see the color work that I'm going to do. This is another project that I just kind of fell out of love with making, but I need to get back into it. I struggled because I was using a smaller needle with this yarn and to achieve the gauge of the pattern, and it made a really, really dense fabric that like could almost stand up on its own, and it was hurting my hands to knit it, and I knew I wasn't going to like the finished product. So I kept knitting on it because I didn't know what else to do, honestly. And then I came across a video by Wool Needles Hands. Taylor at Wool Needles Hands talked about how to achieve, like how to take the yarn you want and the needles you want, figure out your gauge, and then figure out what size to knit based on what gauge you're getting, versus figuring out what needle and yarn you need based on the gauge of the pattern. So I'm actually knitting this a size smaller than I would normally knit, and using the bigger needles. And I knit about this much of the first one, and so I was kind of motivated when I first started on this second rendition, but then it just kind of, I don't know, it felt like a slog. So I plan to get back into that at some point here soon. There's a pattern that is called the Enola Holmes A Study in Pearl by Kendra Yerian, I think. I'm not good with names, sorry. That is a shawl, and it is over here. This shawl, I actually took off the needle because I needed the needle for something else, so that's what all this mess is. I am knitting, I am knitting this with Highlander, Alpaca with a Twist Highlander. And I don't remember the colorways off the top of my head. I have all of this in my Ravelry as well. If you're interested or you know anything about Ravelry, it's kind of like Facebook for knitters. And you can post projects, and you have your notebook or your projects list, and you put updates on your projects and things like that, so you can see all kinds of things that I've made. I just recently started logging on Ravelry, but yeah, you can see fun things there. Anyway, so I don't know exactly why I stopped this, other than maybe I was just kind of tired of it. Because I think I have some ADHD or something, because I just needed to move on for something else. But I want to come back to this. It has a couple different textures. As you can see, this texture here. And then this, I don't know how much definition you'll get on the camera, but it is absolutely scrumptious. Like, I just like to sit here and go, ooh. It is really soft and really fun. And so I'm doing it obviously in this tan, in this kind of pumpkin spice, and then I will add this brown color at the end. So again, very excited about this one, but not in a, I'm actually going to work on it right now kind of way. Next, this is a pattern that I'm just making up. Hoods are really popular right now, and that's what this is. So here, I'll try it on for you if I can do it without stabbing myself. Oh, maybe my head is bigger than I thought it was. Take off the glasses. I hope that was comical. I just hope it was. Anyway, so you have this nice hood, and then I'm going to knit enough fabric. I'm going to knit enough fabric so that there's kind of like a cowl, and then it could be worn, you know, with the hood down as well. Let's see if, oh, that one easier. Anyway, this yarn is Classic Merino Sport hand-dyed merino wool in the color Peridot. Yeah, the label says Knitting Notions. I think I got this at a fiber festival, so this might just be like a small company that does, you know, hand-dyed, and, you know, more indie than commercial. One other one in here. Is this next on my list? No. Oh, yes, it is. I can read sometimes. These are the Simple Socks by Ellen S.A. And by the way, all of these patterns are free, unless I otherwise state. This yarn is actually very special to me, because I was fortunate enough just out of high school to be able to go to Germany for 3 weeks as part of a student exchange kind of thing. And I went with a group, and I bought this. We found a yarn shop in a small town in Germany, and so that's what this is from. So can I read the label? Not really anymore. No. I kind of could at the time, but my German has definitely not improved over the years. But I am throwing things. I'm just knitting a pair of simple socks, because I've had this yarn like 10, 15 years. I don't want to math how long it's been since high school. That sounds depressing. Um, Closer to 10 years probably. And I just I needed to use the yarn for something. And I was like, I kind of could use another pair of just little anklet socks. So I've been kind of working on this off and on. This is for a while, it was my most portable project, but now that I'm getting into the foot, it's something I'm going to want to try on regularly so I can fit it to my foot. And it's just kind of not cool in public to suddenly take off your shoe and try on a sock. And then, yeah, that's just not cool. So that's those. There's that basket. Who's next? This yarn is also really special. I actually spun this yarn myself. I believe it is either alpaca or llama. I believe it is llama. This is kind of when I was first learning to spin, and I didn't label things very well, so I don't know exactly what it is. So this yarn, or this fiber, I originally bought with the intention of trying to get into this yarn, so that I could make a shawl for my grandmother. And she unfortunately got cancer and passed before I even finished spinning it. So I finished the spinning, and it's kind of sat for a while, for a few years, because I didn't really want a shawl, but I wanted something shawl-like. I wanted it to be something that that would be similar to that project that I wanted for her, but something for me. So what I have come up with, and I also took this off the needle a little bit ago. This is going to grow up to be a capelet. For anybody who doesn't know what a capelet is, it's like a cape, but it's short. So kind of like a shawl, kind of not. It's going to fit, like this, and come down over the shoulder a little bit. And so yeah, this project, I think part of the reason I haven't worked on it is it's a little bit emotional. But it's really soft, and it is something that I would like to get done sometime soon. So I made up that pattern as well. Yeah. Okay, so I'm not 100% how to pronounce this. This pattern is in English and Finnish, so I don't know where this word name came from. I think it is pronounced Frisi or Frisi. Anyway, and I also am going to have trouble with this person's name. Meiju Kallio. This is a paid for pattern. It's €650, and that's about like $7.13 in American dollars, or what Ravelry told me. It's about $7.13. I don't remember exactly how much it charged me. I probably should look at that. But I just bought this the other day because I was bad, and I went to the store and I bought 20 skeins of yarn. So I've been wanting to try this yarn for a while, and it wasn't on sale. And then it would be on sale, but by the time I got there, it was really picked clean, and I couldn't get a large enough quantity to make something that I wanted to make. I didn't even really know what I wanted to make, and so the stars aligned the other day, and I went, and it was on a really good sale. I had a coupon on top of that, and I ended up, so yeah, sure, I spent $70 on this yarn, but like I saved 110. So who's really coming out on top here? Me or Joanne's? Like, who? So anyway, this yarn is, please let go. This yarn is the 2 of Wands with Lion Brand Yarns Hue and Me Chunky Wool Blend. So my main color is agave. I'm also using saffron and desert to make this pattern. And this is a top down in the round color work yoke. And right now I have 2 pairs of needles in it so I could try it on. It's a little, one day I'm going to learn to take off my glasses before I try things on. It looks like it's a little big right now. I'm hoping that as we get over the shoulders and down and then, have sleeves and body, that it'll just be a little bit of positive ease and not be like a really tight sweater. But we're going to find out. The only problem, and it's not really a problem, the only thing that I have that I'm not 100% happy with is the saffron and the agave are very similar tonally. And so the farther away that you get, the harder it is to see the difference between the two. So I don't know how much that's going to be just a dynamic detail of the sweater that, it just looks different when you look at it different ways, or what. We're going to find out. The thing that I did differently so far, than the pattern suggested, the ribbing and everything at the top was all supposed to be just the main color. I'm not 100% if I have enough of the agave to do like it as the whole main color. So I decided to do the ribbing in desert and then do 1 row of saffron and then go into the pattern. And then when I get to the cuffs, I will do them the same way, a row of saffron and then the desert, as well as the bottom of the sweater. Okay. I have one thing left. And, Mom, if I know you don't spend a lot of time on YouTube, but if you happen to have come across this, this is the point where you don't watch for a little while because this is Christmas. Yes, I am starting Christmas this early. It's a thing. So, yeah, look away if you are my mom. If you're not my mom, please continue to watch. I am making a sweater for my mother. This is also a top-down construction, only this one is crochet. So, it's a granny square pattern. It is called the Granny Pop Pullover by MJ's Off the Hook Designs on Etsy, and the pattern was $10. I actually did the top a little differently than the pattern suggested. I'm trying to remember exactly what the pattern told me to do. I don't remember. I just know I did it a little bit differently. And I hope it turns out, looks like it's going to be okay. The colors I am using, one is Lion Brand Ice Cream. And this is the color Mint. It is an acrylic. And I am using that with, come here, Lion Brand Mandala in the Genie color. This yarn I got from a friend like years ago. She was destashing, and um she didn't know anybody else who did any yarn crafts or anything, and so she said, "Do you want this?" And I said, yes. And so I've had it for a really long time and never really knew the right project for it. And I got the idea of doing the granny pullover kind of sweater for my mom in this mint color, this kind of, yeah, greenish, turquoisey, but like mint. You know, I should have stuck with what I said the first time. Is mom's favorite color. So I was really leaning towards this, but I really didn't think I had enough to do the entire sweater, which is why I went out and bought the Lion Brand ice cream, because the mint color is extremely similar. They're very, very close. And by mixing them and doing one for a little while and the next one for a little while, I think it's really going to blend together and look really nice. So there's that. Double checking my notes. Yes. These are, I believe, unless I have something hiding somewhere, these are all of my whips. I would like to get, I forget which channel it was right now, but one of the knitting channels that I watch, she said that one of her goals for 2025 was to not take any whips from 2024 into 2026. So, and that kind of stuck with me, struck a chord. So that's kind of a soft goal of anything that I started in 2023, which would be pretty much everything but this one and this one. I would like to get done before 2026. So we will see how that works out. And get done or frog it or pull it out. So yeah, I did receive a suggestion for how to end, a cute little phrase that I could use to say, hey, we're done here. And I'm going to go ahead and bind off from this segment and meet you back in my kitchen or wherever I am. Thank you so much. I was lucky enough this month to take a cheese making class at Prophetstown State Park in Indiana. The first thing you're going to see is the setup that they gave each and every one of us. That's my vinegar and rennet. This is the instructor making his mozzarella cheese. And in a few minutes, you'll get to see Taylor making hers. I didn't film myself making mine because it's hard to make cheese and film at the same time when you don't have a tripod or anything. So I had a fantastic time at this class. They did a really great job, and I was really grateful to be there. And this is their house cat at the farm at Prophetstown, and she, of course, parked it in the middle of everything because she's a cat. I want to say thank you so much for watching this video today. It really means a lot to me. If you liked anything that you saw, feel free to give me a like. Feel free to subscribe. I am really enjoying making videos so far, and I hope I can make more. So, again, thank you so much for being here, and I hope to see you again soon.